Hi.
Right, okay, we've got Joe Rooting, captain. Lots of people in the room, so just to let you know, we're going to operate a kind of one question and follow up, and then we'll move on to just let me know if you want to ask a question, and we'll do it that way. We'll start with Rory Dollard from the Press Association. Off we go.
Joe, we've got to talk about not cricket to start with. I'm afraid. What are your feelings about events of the last 48 hours with another England contracted player and a bit of drama at a nightclub?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being brutally honest, I'm really hacked off. I'm really disappointed that after last week's performance, we're sat here and we're talking about nothing related to it at all. And in terms of the incident itself, it's obviously with the regulator. There's not a lot I can say on it. It's in their hands now. I've spoken to Brydon. When I first found out, my first concern was him as a person. As someone I've spent a lot of time with, been involved in this dressing room. You obviously develop personal relationships with players. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn by saying he's very upset, been very apologetic and understands his actions. And I'm sure when he gets his chance, he will say that himself. But yeah, I don't think it's not the isolated incident itself. I think it's the fact that we continually keep making stupid mistakes away from the game, and it's detracting from what we're doing on the field.
It's not long, a week or 2 weeks, since you spoke about removing the curfew, people acting like adults, role models. You're hacked off. Are you also? Do you personally feel let down already? And has this team got a real image problem now that it's going to be hard to claw back?
I think that what I will say is I think that actually we have an opportunity moving forward. Clearly, we're not portraying ourselves how we want to, and I think we've got an opportunity to build a culture that's very strong, that something that we can be proud of, that's player driven. And of course, that's not going to happen overnight. We've already had conversation as a team about what is expected from this group of players, what it means to play for England, what it takes to play for England. But we want to create something that we can be proud of and people that follow us can be proud of. We want the supporters to look at us and not just revere what we do on the field, but off it as well. And I think over the next little while, as leader of this team, with Stephen and with the group of players themselves, is creating something that is just that.
Joe,
apologies, I've got a bit of a cold, so it's not...
I just wondered, you're very proud to be captain, proud to play for England. It appears that you're quite emotional about this. I wonder if you could share with us your emotions as a proud English player.
I think I pretty much said where I stand with it all. I mean, more than anything is, I think like his most important thing is we take this opportunity. We have a chance to build something and that lives alongside what we achieved last week on the field. I thought it was a brilliant performance. I thought the way we played was exceptional. And we have to align that with being exceptional off the field as well and understand what that looks like and how we want to represent ourselves and our nation. And with what we've got coming up, there's plenty of opportunities to do that. But it's not going to, like I say, it's not going to happen overnight. It's something that in many ways we're going to have to earn a lot of trust back. And something that we're going to have to live and breathe, consistently.
Just, if I may, we had some former players yesterday, like Michael Vaughan and Matt Pryor, saying that tougher punishments are now needed. I know you were perhaps going the other way with removing curfews. Do you think they're fair to think that tougher punishments might now be needed?
Well, in terms of this isolated incident, it's with the regulator. So until we find out what's come out of that, I can't really comment on that. In terms of the curfew, I still don't believe that that's the way to go. I think it's important that we create something bigger than, that. It's about having something long lasting that we, like I said, we can be proud of, that we can pass on to the next generations of players, and they can evolve and they can be proud of it. I might only be in this dressing room for a couple more years, for a bit, maybe a bit longer than that. There's a group of players there that are going to be around for the next 10 years, and they can live and breathe something and achieve something over that period of time. And this is where that can start. And that can be the stuff that we do on the field, but it can also be the stuff surrounding it. So I've made it very clear what is expected of them, how we want to conduct ourselves to start with, and over time, we've got to live it, and show people what I see on a day-to-day basis in the dressing room. The characters that we have and how much they care about playing for England and what it means to them, and not having isolated incidences be how we are seen as a group of players, and that's going to take a bit of work and time.
Joe, I think most people were fairly supportive and agreed with the decision to get rid of the curfew and treat the players like adults. Can I just ask, what was your messaging to the group when you kind of made that decision? What did you tell them, and how much of an input did Stephen Fleming sort of put into that as well?
Me and Stephen have been in constant communication, as I mentioned last week, across everything that we're trying to achieve as a team. I think I made it very clear. And look, there are certain things that I do believe should stay in a dressing room, and shouldn't have to be. It is a sacred place, but don't worry, they are very clear of what is expected of them and how we need to go about things moving forward. But like I said, he'll be joining this team at the end of this series, and it's another opportunity for us to evolve what we're trying to, and where we're trying to get to, both on and off the field. And
you always come across Joe as fairly measured and calm. You seem less calm today for obvious reasons. Have you had to sort of basically give the group a bollocking and tell them what's what?
As I said, I think we've had a very robust discussion about where we currently sit, and I think there's real clarity there, and now the guys and we as a team can concentrate on focusing on what is important this week on the field, and making sure we prepare properly and diligently for all the challenges that this surface, Pakistan, are going to provide us over the next two test matches, starting with this one here.
Hi Joe, just a question from me. In terms of going forward and preventing incidents like this happening, curfews don't work, but from your perspective, is this a cultural change? Is this something bigger? Is it a disciplinary change? What is it from your perspective?
I think as I said, it's about creating something that we can be proud of and that we can live every day, that's authentic to the group of players, that also aligns with understanding what it means to play for England. I don't think it has to be rocket science. Making good, as players, you get judged on the decisions you make on the field and also off it too. And that's the world that we live in. It's understanding what that looks like, being clear about what your responsibilities are as a player, and then delivering on that time and time again. But like I say, it's a chance for us to create something that everyone can be proud of, and I guess over time, that's what we've got to keep working towards.
The line of questioning in this room would be very different had we not heard about the incident. So are you frustrated that it's perhaps taken away from that performance at Headingley?
Yeah, I think every time we sit here and we're talking about something off the field, it's really frustrating. I look at across the board all of the great things that we did. Thought our bowls were outstanding. Throughout different phases of the game, they recognised different moments and exploited them brilliantly. With the bat, there was a couple of times we found ourselves under pressure and we worked our way through it in a very measured way that understood what those conditions and that situation took. And there's so many important lessons that we can take forward from that, and so much confidence that we can take forward from that, from being the team that we were last week. And clearly this will be different. What get rolls out this week, the surface will be different. There's a slope. Pakistan are a proud team and they'll want to come back and with a point to prove. And we've got to be good enough to be adaptable to whatever's thrown at us, whether that's the weather, whether that's the pitch. If that changes and evolves over the 5 days, we've got to do the same with it, and understand what's required in each and every moment. in many ways, I think we got that pretty much spot on for the majority of last game. So the challenge is, can we rinse and repeat that in a different situation?
Joe, you talk about having an opportunity now. It feels like in recent times people aren't listening. Do you think the threat of a withdrawal of central contracts would help focus minds?
I've got no control over central contracts. Look, I can't really get involved in hypothetical situations. I don't know I talk about this incident alone. We don't know what's going to happen from it. So I think every incident will and has been treated individually. But ultimately, there's no point trying to speculate where and what's going to happen. My job is to try and lead a team in a way that we can all be proud of, and that starts with, you know, the way that we conduct ourselves off the field, and clearly how we perform on it. And I don't want. I mentioned this last week actually. I don't want us to get too caught up in what's happened in the last 6 months or what could happen in the next 6 months. We've got to be very present and understand where we currently sit, and that both applies to on the field and off it. So it's going to be an ever-evolving thing, and again, it could be something really exciting that we can achieve over a period of time.
Obviously, you believe strongly about your squad being role models. How do you think the current behaviour is impacting the next generation?
I don't think it's been a very good look of the recent past, if I'm being brutally honest, at all. But again, I'll take you back to what lies ahead of us and what we can do to change that. And that has to be the focus of the group now, understanding that it's not the standards that we want to live by, and the opportunity that lies ahead in over time, trying to achieve something that people can be proud of and we can be proud of.
Thank you. Joe, do you feel like English cricket has always had this behavioural problem, and it's just that social media in modern times has shed more of a light on it?
I can only really comment on my experiences, and look, it's irrelevant in many ways to me. I think, like I said, our responsibility is to get things right now. That's under our control, that's under my control, and that's my focus.
And under the previous regime, it felt like England would often start series well, and then their performances would deteriorate. I know we lost away to Pakistan, having won the first test, and to New Zealand. Why do you think that was, and what has your messaging been to ensure you win at the series at the earliest opportunity?
Like I said, I just mentioned, I don't want us to get obsessed with what happened in the last 6 months or what happens in the next little while. The chance that it has before us was we can go into this test match having had little preparation ahead of the last one, rolling out a brilliant performance, and taking that confidence into this week. But it will come down again to understanding the rhythm of the game, understanding what's required in each individual moment, and being skillful enough to deliver on that, and make those good decisions and right decisions in the key moments of games.
Sorry, you get the mic.
Thank you. Cheers.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Joe. Can I take you back to 2013 and that instance where you were inadvertently caught up in the David Warner thing? You're a very young player. I wondered whether that was instructive for you and sort of changed your behaviour, even though you hadn't done anything wrong at all, but you haven't really seemed to be in those environments very much since.
Yeah, look, I'm not trying to sit here and ask people to be saints. Everyone's going to make mistakes on the odd time, but it's understanding where we currently sit and what's expected of England players. And clearly you learn from each individual situation you find yourself in. That was obviously a learning experience for me. And I think it's important that we all collectively understand where we currently sit, and we look to move forward on that.
And as a follow-up, I guess it's too early to ask whether the team's going to be unchanged?
Yeah, it's too early.
Joe, Brydon Carse is already missing this game while he's being investigated. Could the incident impact negatively on his selection chances in future?
I can't comment on hypotheticals. We don't know what or where things are going to go. So
But it's not hypothetical, really, is it? I mean, you've seen the pictures. We know what happened.
yeah, we don't know for sure. I think it's important that this is now with the regulator, we let things play out, understand where we lie at the end of it. And my understanding of things is the ECB is no longer in control over what happens from this point on. And until we know what that looks like, there's no point, trying to guess.
So if he's cleared by the regulator, he's fine.
Let's see where the land lies when everything goes.
Okay.
Joe, have you spoken to Ben about what happened and sort of his involvement? And was it a bit frustrating that Brydon was with Ben, given kind of his sort of seniority? And I know he's no longer involved in England, but his experience.
I have spoken to Ben, and again, mainly but for concern for Carse and wanting to find out if he's okay, and understanding that obviously he will have spent a lot of time with him in and around that moment. My concern is around the team and, like I said, what we can do from this point onwards and how we can evolve it and how we can produce something that we can be proud of. Sorry to keep repeating myself, but that is what is really at the forefront of my mind and what I want to be at the forefront of this team's mind. So yeah, hopefully that kind of answers your question.
Last three then, Vish, Paul and Lizzie.
Hi Joe. Just from your position and perspective within English cricket, do you get a sense that fans are, I suppose, distrusting how much hard work the England players are making or putting in behind the scenes because of what they've seen, I suppose, off the field over the last 9 months and also this summer?
Yeah, but that's our responsibility to change that, and that's not going to happen overnight. And like I said, I see the dressing room day to day, how we operate around the cricket, and it's really impressive. But at the same time, I can understand why we are viewed in a certain way, in a certain light at the moment, and we have a responsibility and an opportunity to change that, and that's what lies ahead of us.
Do you think it's difficult for some of the players as well, because obviously with no curfew they're allowed to do what they want, but also it feels like whenever they are in bars, other people, other members of the public, whether it's goading them, whether it's waiting for something to happen, there'd be an understandable amount of paranoia among current players given... I just think that if we don't put ourselves in certain situations, it's not something that we have to worry about. Clearly the landscape is very different now, where that is more readily available for everyone, and not every picture tells the truth. But at the same time, it's understanding the impact that could have, not just on yourselves. And this isn't about individuals. This is about us collectively looking after each other, looking after the dressing room, looking after our environment, and looking out for each other. And I think one of the great things about playing a team sport is you can revel in other people's success. You sit there and you can have one of the worst days of your professional career and win a World Cup like I did in 2019. I got no runs. I didn't even look like scoring a run. And, I sat there at the end of the game and we'd achieved something so amazing. On the flip side to that, you can see one of your mates really struggling, going through a hard time or having one of the worst days, and you feel and live every single side of that. And it's the same off the field, and that's what we don't want. We want to prevent having that feeling individually of letting the rest of the group down, and letting the people that follow us and support us down, and as players, allowing your mate to be in that position. So we just got to be, like I said the other day, we've got to be grown-ups about it. We've got to look after each other, and just understand, that's part and parcel of playing for England.
Joe, I just wondered if Brydon actually reported for duty yesterday before he was released from the squad, and if so, were you able to talk to him face to face?
I've not been able to speak to him face to face. I've had a number of conversations with him, and as I said, he's clearly very disappointed and upset. But I think when he gets his chance, I'm sure he'll take that to explain to himself.
Did he actually report for duty? Do you know yesterday?
Well, I only got down at mid-afternoon, so I didn't see him there. I believe he might have, but I can't tell you for sure.
Simon?
Joe, you spoke about establishing clarity. It feels a bit odd that is a job you've had to do, but you've been in this dressing room for a long time now. Have there been periods where that clarity was really nailed, and if so, how? And also, I guess, when and how was that allowed to drift?
I don't want to get caught up in digging up what's happened before. Like, my concern is what happens moving from this point. We've got an opportunity from now to create something and build something that, around the cricket we can be really proud of. And we made good strides in it on the field last week, and from this moment forward and for a long period, it's not something that we want to forget about in a week's time or 2 weeks' time or 6 months' time. This is something that we want to live and breathe every day, and that's my concern, and that's what my focus is on. And I don't believe anything is going to be helpful talking about what happened in the last period.
Is he?
Thank you, Joe. I'm from Pakistan media. I want to talk about the Lord Test.
Thank you.
Thank you. A lot of English journalists and ex-cricketers criticize one-sided Pakistan team is a 50 years worst side. Even Pakistan have very good record. Last 2 test matches at Lords, Pakistan beat England. So as the opponent captain, what is your take about Pakistan team? Is it exciting less series, or is it still exciting as existing?
No, absolutely. We know the individual brilliance that lies within that team and what Pakistan are capable of collectively. We also know that whenever we play anyone at Lords, they generally raise their game. It's a very special opportunity for any touring team, whether it's to get on the board. It's obviously a ground steeped in history and clearly one that a lot of teams enjoy playing at. And as you say, Pakistan's record has been pretty good in the recent past. So I won't be taking, this group won't be taking anything for granted in that respect. But I also think last week we didn't give them a chance to get in the game. From the very first ball, we were in control, taking a wicket, setting the tone, driving the game from that point forward. We never allowed them to wrestle momentum back in their favour. And, if we can continue to keep doing that, we're going to be a very difficult side to play. And that's the challenge that lies ahead of us on the field.
Last question.
Apologies, another cricket-related question. The pitch here last time was particularly challenging. Have you had a look? What are you expecting? Are you expecting it to be any different? Have you had any chats with them about it?
I haven't yet. I will go and have a look later this afternoon. From afar, it looks very different. I'm sure the lead-up's been very different. That was one thing that I did feel sorry for the groundsman in the last Test match, was the lack of opportunity he had. We had, I think, a week's worth of rain leading into that game, so he didn't get probably the chance that he wanted to get it exactly how he liked it. We'll see what we get. Clearly, there have been some different pitches that we've had to contend with here at Lords. We've got 2 days to try and get a gauge on what we might expect this time round. But the challenge still remains the same for us, is whatever situation we find ourselves in, whatever surface we come up against, can we be skillful and smart enough to understand what that looks like and how we're going to get ahead of the game on it.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you.